On my last video, I showed you the possibility of the original dragon, the legendary unseen creature from Gen 5 lore, not being real but possibly becoming real through the power of Terra energy. This video has little to do with that one, but there was a comment there that made me rethink a whole bunch of stuff. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, and I think Heath lied. Let's get into it. The comment in question is this one by Chachochoa that compared the paradox Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet to synthetic Pokemon like Type Null or the abominations they call fossils in Pokemon Sword and Shield. While I don't agree with some of the rest of the comment, this did spark something in me. It also goes very well with the discussion I had on my Discord with Retroliminal and AZ about a mix of reality and fiction. For starters, we have to talk about the paradox Pokemon. If you are new here, and if you are, subscribe to the channel, I make Pokemon content. But if you're new here, my take on the paradox Pokemon is there's some kind of imagination coming to life. They're not the past or future versions of the Pokemon they represent. They are, in a way, the projections of dreams. The power of Terra energy seems to be able to connect different timelines by connecting people's minds, or people's dreams. This becomes apparent when in Kitakami we are introduced to the Crystal Pool, where it is said that you might meet people who have passed away. It is in that moment that a lot of things started making sense. I go a lot more in depth on this on my Briar video, and you can check that out if you haven't, but basically, since Briar's goal is to make sure people believe in Heath, then by being able to contact Heath in the past, she makes things like the Phantom Memory possible. In fact, she makes things like the symbols in the ground and the mysterious plate possible as well. By contacting people in different times, like the Paldean Emperor, through the power of Terra energy, she is able to leave messages for Heath in order to make him understand what's going on and not be ridiculed. And as I've talked about on my Briar video, nothing worked then. When we meet her, she feels like the only way to save her ancestor's reputation is finding Terrapagos. In fact, I believe that she convinced the Paldean Emperor to go on so many expeditions to the point of ruin in order for them to find Terrapagos, take it out of the crater, and have Heath never really find it. This would basically prevent the books from having crazy disc Pokemon things there, and that would be a good step in saving Heath from ridicule. But there was one thing that she wasn't counting on, and that is that Heath would lie in his book. Or maybe lie is a strong word. Heath was a writer, not just a natural historian. It is possible that originally the books had a mix of reality with fiction. Yes, the disc Pokemon and the journey into the Great Crater are real, but maybe originally the accounts of paradox Pokemon that have names exactly like you would name a fictional character, a fictional monster, were not really a thing. They were just fiction. I've been using the word originally because I believe that Briar's actions are actually changing the past. Like I said, I don't think that the mysterious plate or the symbols on the ground were there. They were made a thing by Briar's actions. And when she found out that the paradox Pokemon weren't really a thing, well, she had to find a way to actually make them be there. She had to find a way for Heath or the others to actually see them. Here is where the comment sparked the fire. Synthetic Pokemon are nowhere near a new thing in the franchise. Gen 1 had Porygon and Mewtwo, Gen 2 had Porygon 2, and Gen 3 had Castform, and the Pokédex entries for Baltoy and Claydol tell us that they were also made in the past by ancient people. More recently, in Gen 7, we've even seen things like Type Null, a Chimera kind of Pokemon. They're nothing new, and this was before we knew about a power that could alter the functions of living things. I believe that Briar, obsessed with Terra energy, finding Terrapagos and clearing Heath's name, found a way to take all of this to the extreme. She found a way to alter these Pokemon, or at least create these Pokemon, something that might be hinted by how they can actually power up our Koraidon or Miraidon even further in the Blueberry Academy, and then, through the power of Terra energy, she was able to project those paradox Pokemon into the past, just like the past can be projected into the present through the Crystal Pool, for example. This changes how things happen in the expedition, and now everyone sees those Pokemon. It's not just his writing. And that includes the artist that drew the imagined Pokemon by seeing the other separate paradox Pokemon. But still, there's one thing that doesn't explain, and that's the real Iron Threads and Great Tusk that attacked the expedition team. This part was a bit trickier because if they're just the projection that Briar sent to the past, they aren't real. They will not be able to hurt you. But if there's one thing that we learned in the present is that it doesn't matter. There is a way to make them real, a way that was discovered by Professor Sada and Professor Turo. This is where I feel Briar has no guilt. I think that the professors are actually the ones to blame by actually making that Great Tusk and Iron Threads real in the past through their experiments. Either that or something went wrong with what Briar was doing. Either way, their actions changed the past, and with that changed how the stories were told and written. There is another thing that this actually explains. The crater was explored after Heath was there, but there are no records of anything. There are no records of the Paradox Pokémon because they were never there, they were just images in the crystals. And that explains why Professor Sada and Turo's experiments, the success they had, was such a big deal to even Clavel. He was there, he was with them, he explored the crater with them, but he never found anything. He never saw a Paradox Pokémon. While Briar was able to contact the past and thus change the present and the way things evolved up to this day, Sada and Turo found a way to actually materialize this Pokémon from the dream world dimension that is the bridge connecting different times. And I believe that happened because they found Terrapagos. By having the source, they were able to actually make them real, while Briar is still looking for it, only able to explore the limited amount of Terra energy she has available to her. This whole thing honestly explains a lot of what doesn't make sense about the Paradox Pokémon, why their names are like fiction monsters, why there are no records of them besides the books that Heath wrote, and why everyone would think that Heath was crazy. They went there was nothing. Nothing could prove that he was right. His love for writing and his love for natural history mixed together to create the Scarlet or Violet books, maybe even just a single book at the time, but because of that, the actual real things they found were deemed ridiculous. And that moment was going to change everything, as it would become Briar's obsession to prove him right. But even she found out that he wasn't right, at least not about everything. She tried explaining Terra energy to him through various different means, the symbols on the ground showing a loop, the mysterious plate likely showing an hourglass, or even the location of something, maybe Terrapagos. The projections showing everyone that was in the expedition the same thing, those strange Pokemon, maybe adding some visual evidence. Still, the concepts were so insane that the fact that no one ever saw them again proved all of her efforts useless. But I believe that's about to change when she finds out that Paradox Pokemon are actually living and breathing in Paldea, not just in the crater but also outside in the Asado Desert. And in the Indigo Disc, the part 2 of the Pokémon Scarlet and Violet DLC, she will finally have her chance to prove Heath was right as she goes deep into the Great Crater of Paldea in order to find the Disc Pokémon, in order to find Terrapagos. And that is all I have for you today. Yes, I do believe that Heath lied, but then he didn't, because Briar and the professors made sure that he was telling the truth. But what about you? Do you have any more crazy explanations about the Paradox Pokemon? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can follow me on social media and Twitch, I stream there Wednesday to Sunday, not Saturday, or join our Discord. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.